our confusion is.
Here we go.
I go to two
Oh.
churches.
My gracious.
Here we are.
There we
Yeah.
go. Good evening. Welcome to What's New. This is the first of the year,
Yay!
2020. So we have some lovely guests, and we have Arvis, and we have Jean, and we will let Arvis introduce our guest this evening.
Okay, well, we'll let you guys introduce yourself. And then, ladies before gentlemen. So.
Well, I'm Amanda, and I am co-owner of Harold's Famous Bee Company, and this is Mr. Harold.
Hi, I'm Harold Gallagher. I am the other co-owner of Harold's Famous Bee Company.
And Honey Bar.
And Honey Bar.
And Honey Bar. Can't forget that part.
And together, we have invented and patented Harold's Famous Bee Cream. And that's pretty exciting for us.
And what is Harold's Famous Bee Cream for?
It's a topical ointment for pain relief and nausea relief. And it's based on apitherapy. Apa is a honeybee genus. And so apitherapy is anything having to do with therapy of pains and issues with the body based on honeybee. And so I'm a cancer survivor, and at the time when that was going on, I was in a lot of nausea. And I'm also a Christian. I prayed about that nausea. It was really beating my lifestyle down. And I was told to go sting myself. I'm also a beekeeper at that time. And so I went down to the hive and grabbed a bee and stung myself. And pretty quickly the nausea was gone. I went back to the house and asked my wife what was for lunch. She said, "You're on chemo this week. I don't have to cook for you." What happened? And so we realized pretty quickly that the apitherapy worked for nausea. But it was also going into the wintertime. And you can't open a beehive in the wintertime. It's deadly for the bees. And you can't travel with bees, and you can't, a lot of people are uncomfortable being around bees, certainly don't want to be stung by them. So talked to Amanda, who I knew was a compounder, and I knew that she developed medications or made medications for different applications. And so I called her and I said, "Have you ever heard of apitherapy?" "Yeah, but you know, it's inconvenient, but it seems to work." And I said, "Well, how about transdermal?" And at that point, she got serious, and she called me back sometime later, and she said, "Yeah, I think that'll work. Let's work on it." And so at that point, she developed the creams and the various materials to do the transfer of that bee venom into the body, and then without being stung. So we just take some of this bee cream and just a little bit and rub it to where it hurts, or in our case for nausea, we found out that the outside of the ankle is the best place to put it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's an acupuncture place.
Isn't that?
And, we just pulled out a book on acupuncture and acupressure, and outside of the ankle. So that's where I started putting it. I didn't know where, I was staying myself here. But, the funny thing was, I would go to the hive all dressed up with the veil and everything, roll my sleeve up and sting myself.
Sting you.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. But,
Except you don't get swarmed by those other ones.
well, that's all right. But then we had to learn how to harvest bee venom. And so we learned how to do that. And then we were getting enough bee venom to make our material. And now
How much do you get from a bee?
not much.
Just a-
Micrograms. Like
Micrograms.
a very small amount.
And at that time, we developed an electrically charged glass plate that I would put in front of the hive entrance. And then the first lady bee that would land on it would get that very tiny shock. There's only two batteries and two little AA batteries on it. So it's very low voltage. But she would get stung with that, and it would agitate her, and she'd sting that glass plate. And then she let out a pheromone that told their 20,000 closest friends inside the hive that I need you to come out here and sting this thing for me. And so there'd be a whole bunch of bees piled up on this glass plate. And I'd stand back and let them have it for 15, 20 minutes, and I'd walk in with my smoker and smoke them all off of it, and grab the glass plate and go back and process it.
Oh, my goodness.
But that was interesting. Now, the thing about bees, honeybees, they're the only stinging instrument that have a barbed stinger. So if a honeybee stings you, that's a needle with a barb. She can't pull it out. So she literally pulls herself apart to get away, and it kills her. So a honeybee dies when they sting.
Oh, I didn't
But
know
with
that.
our application, she can't go inside that glass plate. So she just deposits her venom on it and then goes back in and rests up and makes some more venom and goes out and goes back to work.
Oh, my
So-
word.
So this is the safe way to do it. It doesn't harm the bee. So that was an interesting aspect of that.
Yeah. I didn't know they lost their stinger and went off and died.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they'll live just a few minutes. They'll fly off and you'll see them land over there somewhere on the floor and they'll crawl around and they die.
Oh, my
But
goodness.
they literally pull their intestines out when they pull away from you.
I
But,
didn't
but
know
a wasp can sting and sting and sting. It seems to enjoy it. But the honeybee can't do that.
Oh, my gosh. Well, doesn't a mosquito have the jagged,
I think they work on the other end.
oh,
Yeah, I think that's their lips that do that.
Oh,
and
okay.
They work that, yeah.
Well,
Now, what do you have hives or?
I did have. I developed an allergy to live bee sting. Live bee sting. I haven't developed the allergy to the material in this. Because when I separate the venom, a major part of the venom is melatonin. I'll call it the dry powdery aspect of it. And then the liquids are proteins and peptides. And those go away. And that appears to be where the allergies come from.
oh, okay.
So that liquids. So we save the dry portion of it, and it, for all the world, it looks like I'm processing cocaine when it's down there. I'm scraping white powder off a glass plate with a razor blade. But so I've taken pictures of that to a sheriff to show him what I'm doing. But but anyway, he knows me well enough to know there's something weird going on out there. But it's that's what we do. We process that. Now, at this point, we're using enough that we can't possibly supply it locally. So we buy medical grade melatonin off the market. And since it's a very seasonal thing, you can't harvest that in the wintertime here. We're harvesting it from below the equator
Right.
in the southern hemisphere. So, and again, it's medical grade that we buy for that too.
So the FDA tests all those kind of things that,
Right, we
Are used
purchased
in-
we receive a certificate of analysis, so we receive all the documentation, that it's from an analytical lab that
oh, okay.
is approved by the FDA.
And I've learned to recognize good quality melatonin in the microscope too. It's not in any textbook anywhere about know what to look for. So,
okay.
Where is your shop at?
I'm sorry?
Where are you located at?
Well, in town, we're located down on 234
Across the
Market.
street from the Lutheran, no, alongside of the Lutheran, isn't it?
It is, yeah, between
Yeah.
Lutheran Church and
Between
the
where?
sweet shop.
Lutheran Church and the candy shop.
Corner
Where
building.
Lance used to be. Remember
Oh, where
Lance
Lance used to be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
It's had quite a makeover since Lance was there.
Yeah.
It's quite beautiful. You'll
It
have to
is.
stop by.
Okay, now in your bee cream or lotion there, there's the what is it?
Melatonin,
Melatonin and, then what?
and then what? I don't,
Okay, well, I mean, do you put Vaseline in it? Do you put cream
Oh.
in it? Do you
Tell
put-
Oh, no, no,
tell
no.
her what your mixture is.
Not at all. So,
I mean, I'm not asking to
Mhm.
sell your secrets or
oh,
something.
not at all, not at all. So the thing that made this so complicated and because it hadn't been done before, was because bee venom has a really high molecular weight. It's really, really heavy. And so it's the same comparable molecular weight as insulin. And so insulin has to be injected to get through the deeper tissue. So we had to create a delivery system that would carry that through the multiple layers of tissue. That's what's really so special about our patent, is that we did use green chemistry. We used earth-grown ingredients to create our delivery system, which is really special as well. So,
Right.
but yeah, I mean, it's plant-derived oils, and we just used some tricks in there to
Yeah,
to make
I'll
that
take
happen.
Not
So
asking for you.
But here's what it looks like.
Yeah,
But
I was
yeah.
just,
It looks like spun honey.
it does. It's considered a semi-solid, but it's a heavy cream, so you don't have to apply much. Just a very small amount.
touches.
If you have a little sore spot or something on your hand, just rub it on.
Hey, Johnny, I heard all over.
Well, we'd rather you not do that on camera. But- Right.
Put it on your temple, on your head, it could go away, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, that sounds good.
doing?
Yeah.
My son's trying it, I think on his feet, because he said his feet were hurting,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, we've
my
heard from
back's hurt.
several people with plantar fasciitis that,
Pardon?
I said we've heard from several people with plantar fasciitis
Right, you told me
that
that.
use it for
Yeah.
that, so
Oh,
that would,
my.
I don't
amazing.
think that's what he's got, I think it's his shoes,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
making his feet
But
hurt,
something
but
like
maybe it'll
this
make
could
it
be
quit.
used like, I have a thing at my back that's out of place and it hurts a lot. That could be used on that for pain?
The arthritis
Yeah, but-
put it where it hurts.
You probably wouldn't want to use a whole gob of it.
Right.
No, just, yeah,
Do we take just a little bit?
See?
no, just that. That's what you need. That'll last a long time.
It goes a long way.
A little bit
Yeah.
goes a long way, yeah.
That's what I told David, don't use too much.
After you first use it, you realize, boy, I used too much air. The second time you do it right.
I was just wondering about that.
Okay, now let's go to the edibles.
Sure. Well, so we have a honey bar where you can come in and do a free tasting of all of the honeys on the honey bar.
I'll tell you what, excuse me, line those up,
Like this.
yeah, for the camera now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Charlie, can get him. You know, he came down on your box a while ago to,
Perfect.
there he is. see?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect. So this is just a small sampling of the honeys that we have, but I wanted to show just how different in color they can be. So there are over 300 varieties of monofloral honeys in the United States alone, and we constantly rotate the honey on the bar just according to harvest season. So it could change every couple weeks, really. And so we work with small family-owned apiaries and beekeepers across the country to bring in these really unique honeys that you can come and sample before you buy them. So it seemed like with the bee cream and that side of the business, every third or fourth email was customers asking if we sold honey. And so we thought, well, how can we do this in the most unique way possible? And so we thought, well, why not have a honey bar and just let people come in and taste? And it's
Right.
just, it gives us the opportunity to talk and just chat and, you know, talk about sustainability and just different things that we're doing, like our research and that sort of thing. So it's been wonderful so far.
And as you were telling me a while ago, the different colors are not made by you. It's from the.
This is the
actual
way the
honey.
bee did it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
From where the bee gets their honey, their
Their pollen.
Yep.
pollen, yeah.
Yeah, well, certain parts of the country has, you know, allows for agriculture, you know, hundreds of acres of one specific crop. And so beekeepers will place their hives right in the middle of those crops, and that's where they're pollinating, collecting the nectar and pollen. So they take that back to their hive and create these unique honeys with them. So they're not blended or infused or altered in any way. This is how they're created.
That's what I mean, you do not add a flavoring.
No, not at all.
I'll be darned.
But yeah, I mean, you'll see, here today, we have the sage honey, the blackberry blossom, which is our #1 seller by far. Everyone loves the blackberry. And then the buckwheat honey, which is like the far spectrum on the honey wheel, so.
We had some people come in this weekend, and they tasted the very dark honey. So that's going on my smoked meat, and that's going on my barbecue sauce.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
they
bet.
like that.
Yeah, that would be,
It could be used for that.
Yeah,
very easy.
and there's some people that's just too strong for them. But it's amazing how different people like the different, I'll say colors, but the different variations of it. And
I love blackberries. I eat anything blackberry jelly, blackberry
Yep.
jam. I go in the store in the wintertime, I buy all the kind. We hit the stores that got blackberries, because I love blackberries in my cereal and. I
But you'll
just love
never find
blackberries.
corn honey. You'll never find corn honey. Corn is not pollinated by honeybees. Corn is pollinated by wind. So you always have to have 2 rows of corn side by side. And I know we're getting off topic here, but you have to have 2 rows side by side of any corn so that the wind can cross them. So go back to topic now, honey.
So
I'm also
corn honey is an
master
X.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you have this bottled for you, or do you do this at your store there?
Yeah, we purchase in small batch and we bottle ourselves.
Uh-huh.
They come in bigger jars.
Yeah, we don't buy,
Yeah.
we don't purchase by the drum or anything like that. Like I said, we're working with small
You put it in
beekeepers.
the jars
Yeah,
yourself.
but the health laws say we can't use the funnel to pour it in. We've got to pour it in straight from one jar to the other.
Oh, you don't want me doing it.
Well, I've never seen honey except in that one color.
Yeah, we see that a lot. I mean, it's really like an educational thing whenever people come in because
It is.
it's
Very
really
very
interesting.
educational.
She tends to start them on the light colored end and go to the dark.
Yeah, I mean,
And they'll
it's,
stop somewhere in the middle. They find the one they like.
right. Well, it's kind of like a wine tasting too. So it's, you
Right.
do start the very light and then work your way down and, that's, very similar process. You do have to let it sit on your tongue and melt on your tongue and breathe through your nose. There's so many layers of flavor in honey.
You didn't tell me that. I was just sucking it down.
So whatever gave you the idea of doing the honey bar outside of your
That's
other
her.
business?
I'm the distribution guy and the production guy and that kind of stuff. She's the one that came up with the retail, and that was exactly the right thing to do for us.
Yeah.
So it was her concept, she's carried it out, she's done it well.
Yeah, well, I think the big determining factor was, well, first of all, the building, and then with the National Park Service coming in, we just thought, our corporate office is in Farmington, but I live here in St. John. Like, just see a great opportunity here, and it just worked out perfectly. And I thought, we do things a little out of the box, and so we just wanted to be really unique with it, and just make it beautiful and special and fun and just different, so.
You have more than one place.
This is our first retail location.
Okay.
We've had an online and wholesale business since 2015, so,
And we have a lot of companies, other companies selling our products.
right.
Our bee cream.
Uh-huh.
But this is our only retail product so far,
Right.
project so far.
Yeah, so we're in about 100 retailers, and then we're on Amazon as well,
It goes all over the place.
yeah. And then we've had visitors from all over the place as well. We put up a map, a world map up in the store just so we could place a pen,
Okay.
anytime that someone comes in from out of town. And we've had a beekeeper from Uganda, Africa, came by the store. We've had a lady from Wales. We've had a couple from Japan in last week. So we've had some really interesting visitors already. It's, you just never
Had one guy
know.
from Farmington, but other than that,
And me from St. John.
there you go.
But you just never know who's going to walk through the front door.
Yeah.
It's an adventure.
And many of them have a story about,
Yeah.
they are beekeepers or they have pains, and we talk to them about that. So the fun thing is, some guy come in and hands are gnarled, and so we'll put a little bee cream on his hand and start talking about fishing or whatever. In a few minutes, he's, haven't done that in a while.
And I think the word of mouth is the best
Yeah.
mode of advertising. I mean, that's
I
a
agree
known
too.
fact. So I've heard really a lot of good things about
Thank
your
you.
products.
Thank you.
Just people that have purchased it and
Yeah.
talk about it. So-
Well, St. Genevieve has definitely been wonderful to us so far. I mean, it's
Yes.
just been wonderful.
We
Zero
just
complaints.
put it down.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you have different sizes now in that cream?
We have a 1 ounce and a 2 ounce.
This is a 2-ounce
Yes,
jar.
okay.
And in your honey, do you have just in that one container? or-
Just the one container. At Christmas time, we had a gift set that had 2 ounce jars. So we're getting ready to put those back out again, just because everyone seemed to love those. It was a gift pack of our top 4 selling honeys, but they went really fast. So we're working on restocking those.
That sounds good.
Yeah, it's just kind of like,
That is great.
So those will be out for Valentine's.
yes, definitely.
Yeah.
That is just great.
That's my granddaughter. She used to be forgiven.
She doesn't know you're on television.
No,
You have to tell her to turn to that station if they can get it.
And watch you on YouTube tomorrow.
all right.
Yeah, watch on YouTube tomorrow.
Good.
If you
That
don't
is
have,
really-
if you have cable, St. John cable.
Okay.
They can see on 99.1, they can see it tonight.
Okay,
But now, you know.
Yeah, so this show's live, and then they have a lot of repeats.
okay, perfect.
So you have to tell all your friends
Very
and
good.
everybody to go to YouTube or St. John TV and click on what's it.
We can do
I
that.
dare it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Then there's several dates to choose from, because we're in our 8th year.
Yes, we're in our.
We're in our 8th year being on,
Good.
so we've had a lot of guests. a lot of interesting guests that have talked about everything from disease to activities to
Honey?
products, and even like handicrafts. Like one night, there was a bunch of young girls finger talking away and finger,
Crochet, wasn't it?
what do they call that, finger knitting,
Molding,
You're
sculpting.
crocheting.
Oh,
No, you're not crocheting, you're using your fingers.
Yeah, but you can do that. You
Well,
can do that with
anyway,
your whole arm.
These kids were sitting there talking away, not even looking what they were
Yeah.
doing, and their grandmother had taught them how to do it, and she was sitting there talking too. So, yeah.
Charlie Russell, the
Amazing.
Western artist, was known for that. He would be talking to you and just talking, and then he'd hand you a sculpture of yourself in clay.
Oh, my
He
word.
was known for that, yeah. And he never looked at it.
Oh,
He was a fantastic fellow.
And he made the sculpture of who, himself?
No, of you.
Of you.
Yeah, while he was talking to you, he
Oh,
was
my
looking at your
goodness.
face and all that.
We have an artist friend that lives in Washington that draws, they go to breakfast every morning. And every morning he draws a breakfast buddy.
Yeah.
So he draws several, I mean, there are only so
Yeah.
many of them, so he keeps drawing the same people over and
Yeah.
over and over with different poses.
I have a friend that does a lot of what I call napkin art. Drink coffee with him in the morning at a restaurant, and he takes a napkin and some caricature or something like that. It's got a personality. And I've made him sign them. I've got napkin art framed in my home.
Oh,
Now, the
really?
trouble is, it fades pretty badly if it gets in the sunlight, so I have to watch that. But I've got some older stuff of his. That's good.
Well, napkin art is how we got our logo.
Oh, really?
A friend of ours sketched Harold on a napkin, a different friend,
Yeah.
and we turned it into our logo.
Well, that is really neat.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
you can catch that logo, that'd be great. Oh, there you go.
Quite a bit of, yeah. Now, how did you get that? Who designed that? Or did you, or?
Is that Sarah?
So we have a designer that helps with our product design and that sort of thing.
Okay.
So,
I'm a mechanical engineer, and I can draw a machine on paper that will seem to run, but I can't do people or crooked lines. I can't do crooked lines.
but she has sketched it out on a napkin and then digitized it for us, so we were able to use it on all our
Isn't that
packaging.
amazing?
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's a nice story.
yeah,
That's it.
sure.
That's a long way away, you know. Oh, yeah, see. Is that supposed to be you?
It's supposed to be. They made it as pretty as they could. Now, they didn't have enough time to make it pretty, but
That's what makes it unique.
I guess so, yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Let's see that.
Yeah, it's amazing how different products get different,
Models?
Mhm.
means of
I'll be darned.
exposure,
Right,
Yeah.
you know, and stories, always a story.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I think a good story always creates a really interesting product and
right. It
it
does.
just makes it special.
So
That
how
is
much
really
do you
neat.
sell your products for? Like,
The honey is 12, and then the bee cream, the 1 ounce is 15, and then the 2 ounce is 24.
And how much are those?
They're 12.
Oh, that's not bad. Not for a big bottle like that.
No.
No,
With
that
something like
cover-
that, you wouldn't have to have as much as you do with the other kind, you know.
Yeah.
Is that
It's so
good on
flavorful.
toast too, that dark one?
I'm sorry?
On toast,
Oh, absolutely.
the blackberry?
The blackberry, yes.
That's the one in the
That's this
middle.
one right here.
Oh, the black, which one's this one?
This
The
is
sage?
this is the buckwheat.
Oh,
This is the
buckwheat.
buckwheat honey.
And that's blackberry
This
there?
is the blackberry.
Oh, I thought
Yep.
this dark one was a blackberry.
Oh, no. The blackberry is sort of the middle of the road honey.
Oh, okay.
The sage is really light.
Oh, the sage is that one, okay.
But the buckwheat, we like to put in coffee if you're a coffee drinker. Really,
really?
mellows your coffee out, makes it very smooth. I made an old German honey cookie with it, and so it kind of turned out like a ginger molasses cookie without all of the sugar. It was delicious for the Cookie Crumb Trail. So if you have that recipe book, it's in there.
I'll be darned.
Now, does the sage taste like Does it have that taste of sage, or is it?
It's very subtle. It's more of an earthy and savory type of flavor as opposed to really sweet. But yeah, you can get some notes of sage in there. It's really interesting.
That
I bet
is,
you blackberry.
you wouldn't think, you wouldn't think sage would be a good honey.
Oh, yeah, you wouldn't think so, but
No, you wouldn't
it's
think so.
interesting that's why it's so interesting to try it and just, you could use it in a marinade, you could use it in tea, use it to grill with.
Now, do each one of these come from a certain area of the country or?
Right, yeah, so like the blackberry and the blueberry are from the Pacific Northwest area. So Washington, Oregon, they're sort of known for their hundreds of acres of blackberry fields and blueberry fields. So that's where we collect those from. The sage comes from California. So we just have beekeepers that we work with in different parts of the country, and whatever they have, whenever it's harvest time, just send it our way.
See, this is the,
Buckwheat.
That's the buckwheat. And that one's from Virginia.
Well, be darned.
Yeah.
I like the idea of being able to come in and taste it before I buy it, and I don't have a great big bottle of something I don't like, and I pay
Right, and then you
fortune for it.
can sort of imagine what
We'll
kind of
even
dish
give
you
you a
can
little
use it
taste
with.
spoon to put it on, so
Yeah.
Yeah,
give your own little flavor.
I'll bring my
space.
biscuits in.
Bring a
Try that.
biscuit, bring a biscuit
Yeah,
and
but you
say,
bring a
okay.
biscuit in.
Well, every once in a while we
Don't just
have,
bring one.
Right. Pretty fun.
be considerate of us.
Bring a whole batch.
Right, yeah.
But every once in a while we'll have fresh honeycomb on the honey bar too. So
Oh,
I know a
really?
lot of people have never tried honeycomb, so it's really, kind of a delicacy, and some people.
Is that kind of waxy?
It
is
is waxy,
It's
but.
good though.
I call
Oh,
it first
it's
chewing
so
gum.
good.
You,
I've tried that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, and you suck on it a little while.
Yeah, you suck the honey out of it and then you
Suck
chew
on
the
it.
wax.
yeah.
But it's just fun to watch kids come in that they've never experienced honeycomb before, and so they'll come in and, chew on that, and they'll just be completely amazed. I had no idea this was a thing, so.
My grandmother used to make, when I'd get one of these tickling coughs, she used to make something out of honey. I can't remember what it must be. She used honey,
Yeah.
because she always
Honey,
said.
whiskey,
It was
and
just a
orange.
form of tea with a lot of honey.
Hot toddy.
Yeah.
Oh, I love those.
That's another topic now.
Well, you can put,
But she used honey a lot with
Accents it.
different things,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there's a recent study out by Penn State that compared the buckwheat honey to dextromethorphan, which is an over-the-counter cough suppressant. And the buckwheat honey far surpassed the dextromethorphan when it came to cough suppression.
Oh,
It was
really?
really
I'll
fascinating.
be in to buy one of them.
So it's mixed with water then, or?
No, you just take a teaspoon of
Oh,
it,
just take a teaspoon of it?
which the buckwheat is a little strong, so depending on your
You're afraid
palate.
to cough when you do that.
It scares the cough
Yeah.
out.
Right.
But there's an old phrase among beekeepers that everything that comes out of a beehive is good for you.
I would
You
think
got
so.
propolis, wax, of course, pollen, honey itself, the venom, all of that is good for you. So,
I know she used to give me a lot, I used to have a lot of different things, and every time I turn around, when I have something wrong, she'd stick a teaspoon of honey in my
Yeah.
mouth.
Yep.
And it would go
well,
away.
that's better than the alternatives that you could have gotten, so,
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that, that's where I
yeah.
got like a honey. And I love honey and hot biscuits.
Yeah, we're honey lovers too. But yeah, we have honey spreads at the store too. So it's honey whipped with, we have a dark chocolate. So it's honey whipped with dark chocolate, espresso, and vanilla.
That sells pretty quickly.
They are dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah, they go really quickly.
It's hard to
I
keep
have
that
to
in
come down to
inventory.
the store.
It is, it's very interesting,
Yeah.
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 I probably will leave broke.
We hear that a lot.
There are items we just really have trouble keeping on the
Yeah.
inventory. Order regularly and it's gone soon.
And your Valentine truffles.
Yes, we have honey and chocolate truffles, or honey whiskey and chocolate truffles.
Wow.
So we've got a couple different variations, but Yeah, you can't
So
go
there's your
wrong.
Valentine for your honey.
Happy Valentine's.
Everything
Right.
in
Your
the store,
Valentine for your honey.
we will sell you clothing, shirts and such, but everything in the store is related to the honeybee in some manner. It's, that's the way we are.
We have honey infused tea, so that's a new way. We have coffee cups and just home decor and health and beauty, just a bunch of different honeybee, all things honeybee, basically. So
She's made a morning and evening face cream, and getting rave reviews on that. So,
can't keep that one in stock either.
got a waiting list of some of the
We
items.
do, which is a great problem to have.
If my wife runs out, I hear about it, and she says, well, you know people, you can get me some of this.
Well, I think that's wonderful. I did not know that so many things could be made out of honey like that.
And
Oh,
you
absolutely.
really, you can substitute in any recipe honey for sugar.
Sure.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you just need to accommodate for the wet ingredients, but absolutely. I think a lot of people are wanting a more natural and just a healthier alternative.
Yes.
Especially for sugar.
Yes.
So we see that a lot. Our honey is, we have some on the condiment bar, they have some at the condiment bar at Common Ground. So if you want to sweeten your baked good, you can, it's the Orange Blossom, I think, is what they have right now in their condiment bar. So, but yeah, people are just looking for an alternative, just a healthier, just any little thing that you can do to make a difference in your health.
Right.
Also, we make it a point to help our local beekeepers and honey suppliers. So on occasion, when we can get it, we'll spotlight one of the local honey suppliers, and they get all the money. We don't keep a penny of the sales on that. And,
Well, that's nice.
and it
of
works
you.
out well for them. They're happy
Yes.
about it, and they get a nice check.
Yeah, because anybody that does specialty things like that, the honey, the soap, the
Yeah,
whatever, and when it's all natural.
yeah. And it's not,
It's
beekeeping
great to
is
have it in your
expensive.
community, yes.
Yes.
Well, and I think they appreciate it, that we give them that little bit of a platform to come in and sell their honey
And
to
it's
our
got
customers.
their name on the
so.
jar. We use their jar for that. And we don't change it in any way. We just put their product on the counter.
Well, let's say it this way. If
That's
they
good.
didn't appreciate it, they wouldn't come back.
Right. That's true.
I think that's wonderful. I have to go down and get me some honey out.
Yes, you have to, it's very
I'm thinking
interesting.
about them truffles.
Oh, yeah. I have to try them out. That'd be,
But our bee cream, again, is developed for pain relief and nausea relief.
Yes.
And a little bit will do you. It's kind of like the old, what is it, Real Cream commercial, a little dab will do you.
Right, well, that
And
would
it,
Very serious.
and
for that.
we're the first ones in literature that have equated apitherapy to nausea therapy. That was never mentioned before in thousands of years of literature. It's always pain relief. But now we know about nausea relief, and that's a whole different
And was
aspect.
that an accident that you found that?
It was a God thing. I was back when I was a cancer patient, and I had the nausea, and that was the way I've got jars of unopened nausea pills at home that I never opened.
They're probably no
because-
good anymore.
Probably not.
well, how do you use it for that? Do you put it on your hands or what do you do with it?
The nausea,
Yes.
interestingly, we put it on the outer ankle, of all places.
A while ago, yes, she
We looked up, we went to a book on apitherapy, acupuncture, and that was a site. It's kind of like, or an acupressure, and that's a site, and if you look at the bottom of your foot, it's like a map of the human body on acupuncture.
It is,
acupressure.
that's really interesting.
And it's the nerve endings and such, I assume, and we just found a spot that the outer ankle, just put it on one of those, and I did it every morning, just a little dab will do you, and
That's amazing, really.
it is.
Yeah.
And I didn't have nausea. We've got some wonderful success stories of other people that were able to return to their normal, pretty much normal life, even though they would have been racked with nausea and on that. So it was very effective, and it's very heartwarming to hear these stories too. We love hearing the feedback on them.
My son could have used that because he got so deathly sick when he took his chemo.
Yeah,
Oh, my God.
it's a devastating way to be treated, but
Yeah.
it's necessary.
Well, he'd have it on Monday and it'd be Saturday before he could stand to eat anything.
Yeah,
And then
and we've heard that story before, and this helped those people. So,
That would help that, wouldn't
Yeah.
it?
And my husband never had a bit of it.
No, no,
He took his chemo and just walked away.
well,
Wow.
and that's a blessing. That was a blessing.
No, it was.
It is really, really neat. That's interesting.
Well, let's see, what else can I,
So what made you come to St. Genevieve to begin with? With your
She's a native,
manufacturing?
she lives here.
Oh,
And,
okay.
and she's a mother, and so I became the commuter. I live in Farmington.
Right, right.
And I became the commuter because she's the mother with kids in school, and that made sense.
Oh, it
And
does,
St.
yes.
Genevieve is a wonderful place for this product. It's
It is.
a wonderful community, have walking traffic here, and we love that. And you don't see that in Farmington. So it's just a better place for us.
we are
That's
our
great.
own little world.
We are, and it's a good world.
I had a customer one day for out of town. I think she was a professor at Auburn University who was in town. And she said, "This is the most Norman Rockwell town I've ever experienced." And I thought, that is probably the most perfect description that I've heard yet. It is very Norman Rockwell-like and just very
artistic
charming.
town. We have artists all over the place
Sure.
here. Not me.
And that's a form of life I don't understand.
I just love that. I'm working on
Yeah.
another mural in my house.
Oh, wow.
I'm gonna put it on the front room wall this time. I got one
just
across
work
the
on
kitchen wall,
quilts.
I'm gonna put one across the front room wall now.
Well, for me, painting a house involves a ladder. You know,
Just
some
and a
people throw
brush or a
brush
roller.
on a canvas, but
Right.
Well, they won't let me near it, so that television, that's
I'm so
So,
glad that
great.
you brought all those products in. I did not even know that you were down there.
Yeah.
So how many varieties do you usually stock when at your peak?
Usually 8 to 10
8 to
at a
10.
time. Just depends on availability. Right now, we have sage, blueberry, blackberry, the local honey, and then I believe orange blossom. And then we'll have coriander honey at the end of the week,
Oh,
which is a cilantro honey. So it's supposed to have like a hint of like a lemon lime flavor to it. So
Oh.
excited to get that one in.
I'll be getting some of that.
Yeah.
I
yeah,
love that.
that'll be good.
Yeah.
It's just interesting and different. And if you love cooking or baking,
Oh,
the
gosh.
sage, honey, or coriander would be just amazing to work with in the kitchen, so.
I'm gonna try that sage honey.
Make
And I wonder how many listeners even knew you had a business here in town. Probably very few.
We have quite a bit of walk-in traffic, but a lot of it's from out of town.
Out of town, right?
We have a lot of
right.
visitors.
Yeah, we have a nice website, and people see that and come in. And of course, a lot of people are already here anyway, touring your town.
Right.
Right.
And so they walk by, and we've got a nice sign outside now, and it draws people.
Well, people ought to know about this because this is a natural,
Yeah.
you would say a health
There you
natural
go,
thing
yeah.
because it's there are things that can help you with.
And health food stores are a good outlet for our beakery.
Right.
Well, I, of course, I've never been in yet. But I didn't know you had so many other things, you know,
Yeah, it's,
not just a row of cups of honey. You got
Oh, right, right. Just a
store,
whole
you know.
variety, yeah, like I said, health and beauty,
Other
home
foods
decor,
and-
just,
and
yeah,
such, yeah.
food and just a whole variety of things. So you'll be surprised whenever you stop by.
don't have any swimming pools shaped like a honeybee or anything yet, but
That's all right, I
Maybe
don't go
coming,
near
yeah.
swimming
Or pins, yeah.
Well, I'll be in for the honey. Now, they
Yeah,
know got
I'm
blackberry
really
honey.
thinking about it.
I love blackberries, you can tell that.
it's appropriate. We're next to the sweet shop. So that works out. It's a sweet corner of town.
It
The
is,
sweet, the
yeah.
sweet street, yeah.
There you go.
There's just one thing there. When they say the blackberry honey, it's not from the blackberries, it's from the blossom.
I know it.
So it wouldn't be the blackberry taste
But
like
it still
that.
would have that,
Yeah,
There's still
it still has the
some.
nectar that,
it has, it still has that
that flavor.
yeah. Now, the bees I had on my farm would come in and they'd be different colors of pollen on them. One
Because
had
they
been
were
over there
picking it
somewhere,
up.
and one had been over there somewhere, and they got different trees and all that. So it's a mix. But when you come from, you're in the middle, your hives are in the middle of a 1,000-acre blackberry farm, then they're gonna all have the same color pollen on them. But, the bee
Very
typically ranges 2 miles from the hive.
Yeah, I
Is that
had
just
no
2
idea.
miles?
That's their typical range. Yeah.
I had no idea there were so many varieties of honey.
I didn't either.
Yeah, like I said, 300 that we know of in the United States alone. So it's really interesting. We've had avocado honey, we've had pumpkin honey, star thistle. We've had just a whole list of really unique honeys at the store. So, like I said, it's just according to harvest season, whatever is available. We had Tupelo honey, which I know is a big favorite. So we've had acacia honey, which is the black locust tree. And so that honey is almost clear. It's really crisp and clean tasting. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And then we had one from Hawaii, Kauai honey, and that apiary sits between a coffee bean farm and a pineapple plantation. So
Oh my
depending on
gosh.
when they harvest, it could taste like coffee or pineapple or both. And the last batch we had was very coffee. And so they're harvesting now, so we should have some here hopefully in the next few weeks.
Oh, my word.
I'm hoping it's coffee again. That's my favorite.
She's become very honey literate.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, anytime that you want to come back on the show, we'd be glad to have you back
Well, let
on.
me tell you about what the honeybee does when she finds a good crop out there somewhere of pollen. She'll come in to the hive and she'll do a dance. And that dance tells the other bees how vigorous she is, tells her how much food's out there. And she orients them in the direction they need to fly and how far it is. There's, what do you call that dance? There's a
Waggle dance.
waggle dance, that's it. And she waggles her body and it's, the other bees know, now there may be another one over there doing another dance, but they, okay, which way do I want to go? But that's how they do that. And so she'll telegraph that.
And they actually carry the pollen on their body.
Yeah, there's sacks on their legs that they carry that, and you can see it.
Yes.
It could be
Yes.
yellow or brown or
Right.
even a red, depending on the type of pollen they're bringing in. The forager bee, the one that goes out, and each bee has a job to do. There's nurse bees and forager bees, and of course the queen and the drones and all that. But the forager bee typically only lives a few weeks. Now, if you think about their wings, you can see through them almost. They're gossamer wings, and they beat thousands of times a minute. And she goes out, and she gets a little age on her and all that, and those wings have got 10 million beats on them. And she gets so heavy she can't fly back, and she just that's her last trip.
Oh,
But the
my.
queen bee that really doesn't fly that much can live for a few years. So, she's in the hive and all that. The bees raise their own queen from a typical egg, but they take selected eggs, freshly laid, move them to a bigger cell, and then feed them royal jelly much longer than they feed the regular cell, baby bee. And then she matures fully, and she's the only one that's fully mature. And then she comes out and she's the new queen. There'll only be typically one queen in a hive. Now bees, when they fill up the hive, the hive gets packed out. Too many bees in that hive. Well, the queen plus about 40 or 50% of the bees will leave. They call that a swarm. And they'll go find a new place. But before they do that, they've left behind queen cells to create and build up that hive again. So it's a very planned situation for them. So a honey swarm is good for the species. That's what makes them spread out and grow. If not, they'd all just stay in that same place and get old and die right there. But it's a planned thing. Nature's a wonderful teacher.
Yeah, it
Goodness
is.
gracious.
It's amazing.
Yeah. It's a fascinating species to study.
Now you make me want to read about the bees.
Yeah. And the drone, the male bee, is the only one in the colony that doesn't have a stinger.
Doesn't have what?
A stinger.
Oh,
It
really?
doesn't have a stinger.
Doesn't fly very much either, do they?
Yeah, they fly. They're the biggest bee in there. They're a shorter body than the queen. The queen is a long-shaped body. But the drone is a heavier body and he's shorter. But he's still twice the size of the typical worker bee. He's got great big eyes, big dark eyes on top of his head. But And if the food gets short, they kick the drones outside and let them die. They don't keep them around. They don't work, so.
If you don't work, you go.
If you don't work, you go, yeah.
That is really interesting.
I've known beekeepers, been in it 40 years, and they still don't know everything. They still yearning for more education on it, so you just don't learn it. And there are people now that graft queens, that there's processes. She's just been through some training on that. And just a way to encourage that queen growth, and then they sell the queens. And they sell colonies. That's a way to get into the bee business, is to buy a queen and a colony, a short colony, a nuclear colony,
yeah.
which is just a very small section of a colony, and then you put that in your hive at home, and they develop and expand.
From there.
Yeah.
Approximately how long does it take to start a new hive like that? A producing
Well,
hive?
when I got involved, I bought 2 full hives.
Uh-huh.
So I started out with full hives, so I went into business immediately with full hives. If you start with a nuke, the first season's pretty bland, and you don't get much crop out of it, but they'll build it. Now, the queen will lay her body weight every day in eggs, a couple thousand eggs a day.
Oh, my God.
That's her job, and they feed her while she's doing that. They carry away her waste and all that. That's that bee's job. All the other bees are there to serve her, which is, I guess, the best way to do it.
What goes
But-
with these eggs then? Are these new worker bees and stuff, these eggs?
Well, when the bees are hatched, they have a job, and I think they start out nurse bees probably early, and they stay right there in the hive and go up to the top where the honey supers are and get the food and bring it down to the baby bees down below. And we keep a separator between those so the queen can't get up. The queen's body is so much bigger than the other bees and the drones, but they can't. The separator is just a queen excluder, we call it. It's just a screen that only those other bees can get through. And it's just a narrow doorway, but it's full of those doorways. And the other bees just kind of go all the time, but the queen can't get up there. So she doesn't lay eggs up in the honey section.
So the eggs, when they hatch, then they're just because you said the collectors die after so many weeks.
Yeah, about 6 weeks, I think,
So
instead of going.
these newer ones coming along are,
Yeah,
Yeah, constantly.
yeah.
Because
There's
she's
guard bees.
cycle of life,
There's
right.
bees that stay at the door and make sure nobody gets in there they don't like. So there's different jobs for them.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, and it's, yeah, at certain ages, like, 4 weeks old is when they excrete beeswax. So, yeah, at a certain age, they'll excrete the beeswax to comb to do the top layer, to cover the top layer of the honey. And so, yeah, like you said, just every week they have a new job, basically,
Oh, my.
while they're alive.
The hexagonal shape of the cell is the most efficient way to fill. If you had all circles, you got all the spots between the circles, it's useless. But the hexagonal shape is perfect for that. And they build that out and develop it, and it's just amazing how they can do that and how
That
quickly they
is
can do
totally amazing.
that. Yeah.
Beehives and when they make the yellow jacket nest, spitting out all that
Hornets, yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, that's a paper
Spitting
product.
out all that paper, yeah. Those two are really fascinating.
But we take the excess wax when we harvest the honey, we put that in well, it's a centrifuge that blows the honey out of the wax. And then the wax itself, you can scrape that off and use it for beeswax product, candles, whatever you wish, or medicinal purposes or whatever. So, yeah, it's all a good product out of the hive.
They use beeswax for medicinal, like as a,
It has been done, yeah. Now, we stress the use of venom. Our patent calls for the use of venom. And so we're the only ones that can do that. We've got the venom. And it's the best way we think of doing it, of treating our applications of it, the
Right,
pain and the nausea.
yeah, because I've heard of stinging yourself with bees or
Yeah,
getting
apitherapy.
stung with bees for therapy. yeah.
Apitherapy. And they say that 4,000 years ago, that's when that started. picture some guy getting out, and getting stung by bees by accident, but I feel better. It hurts, but I feel better. My arthritis doesn't hurt anymore.
Now, are black bees, they're a different breed than the honeybees?
Well, there are Russian bees, European bees, African bees, and the African bees are typically the meanest, typically. And they call them Africanized because, and they can crossbreed with our local bees, and our local bees can get a little bit mean. So, you
We don't have
know,
any
the Russian
Africanized
bee,
colonies here, though.
no, they tend to stay in the warmer climates. They don't live so well here in the colder climates, and so we're safe on that. But they are tending to move northward a little bit because they're interbreeding with some of the other bees, and they can stand that cooler temperature better. But you can change your queen out a lot of times, and your colony will calm down pretty well after she's got her eggs in there. So,
Interesting.
queen management's a big thing about your success of your hive, the temperament of the bees in it, and all that. So it's an important aspect. Yeah.
Wow.
And when you go up into the hive, you don't start banging around on it. You don't want to. You just open it carefully. Maybe some guys will talk and, you know, and just kind of let him know that he's there and he's not going to hurt anything. And so
Totally amazing.
and I always wore a veil. I don't want them in my eyes, so that kind of thing. But I've seen guys that almost shirtless and just covered with bee, and they're just happy as they can be. You know, they're not getting stung. If they are,
Do you
they're
think
holding it back
getting-
well.
Yeah. Oh, you said they don't get stuck.
No,
Apparently not. Just covered with them, just literally covered with them all over their skin.
Yeah, I saw that already.
Yeah.
But I was thinking I'd get those things off of me.
Well, again,
I could see that
some
dance.
people are not comfortable around honeybees, so that's why our product's so important. You don't have to be stung, the painful sting. You don't kill a bee because of the sting
Right.
with
Yeah.
that product, so.
yeah,
That is really neat.
we have
Okay.
really gotten an education.
We sure did. And I hope we have a lot of listeners or a lot of people look at it when it's replayed because it's very interesting.
Better tell them our store hours.
Oh, so Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 4, and then Sunday, noon to 4. So, and those are our winter hours.
What was that now, 10 to,
10 to 4, Tuesday through Saturday, and then Sunday is 12 to 4,
Sunday's 12 to 4?
and we're
Okay.
closed on Monday.
And that's 234 Market.
Yep, 234 Market Street.
You what?
It's 234 Market Street.
In downtown St. Genevieve. Make sure that said that.
I live on Market Street too.
Yeah, way on the other end.
So you're not on the sweet end of town.
So I'm on the,
Okay.
She's
I guess
way
it's
out
our
there.
end.
Way out there.
Outcast.
Okay, that's Tuesday to Saturday. 10 to 4. Okay. I had to come down and get me some honey.
Yeah, or taste it anyway.
I'm still
Oh, golly,
thinking,
yes. Oh, I'll taste them all.
Yeah. And we're family friendly. You know, a wine tasting place, maybe the kids don't feel welcome, but here they're very welcome. It's family friendly. We
That's
love
good,
kids.
yeah.
Yeah. That is really good. I find this
Really?
really interesting.
That is very interesting.
And I
So-
love honey, so I'll be down to some honey. But we'd love for you to come
Well,
back
we like
on
to
the
think
show
if you
and
come once,
let
you'll be
people know
back.
about you.
Of course,
Yeah.
we would love to.
And we have a website, harrowsfamous.com. You can go on that and learn what we have and what we do and where we are and who we are and all that stuff.
Everything about you.
We have a copy of our patent posted on the wall as you walk in.
Great.
Now, what is that, Harold's?
harrowsfamous.com.
Okay.
It's on the box.
Yeah, but if I don't have the box with
The box.
yeah.
But if you're like me, you have to have glasses to read the box.
Do what?
If you're like me, you have to have your glasses to read the box.
Yeah, I have to have glasses for coursework. I paint so darn much that
Yeah.
I have to have some glasses for those fine lines I do.
You paint, so it said?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are
She's an
both-
artist too.
Both of them are artists.
Well, this call from this granddaughter was thanking me for some art supplies I just brought to her, so I'm sure that's what it was. She loves acrylics.
Well,
Okay, so you can tell your prices again and your store hours. Excuse me.
Sure, yeah, the honey, they're $12 a jar. And then the bee cream is, for the 1 ounce is 15, and then the 2 ounce is 24. And then we're open, like I said, 234 Market Street, Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 4, and then Sunday noon to 4.
and you closed on Monday.
Closed on Monday.
We also have lip balm and various, all honey-based products, and lipstick with a bee flavor, I guess you'd say, and various ointments and rubs and different things. So,
And some clothing with the advertisement.
We do.
Shirts.
Yep. T-shirts, home decor, health and beauty, different food items.
Yeah.
So the spreads and things like that, so,
Christmas shopping.
yeah, lots of Christmas shopping.
Yeah, and truffles.
And truffles.
Oh, I have to try those stuff. Oh, I have to try them.
I
Some
was,
with whiskey?
Some with whiskey, yes.
I always tell people that our bee cream is really a cosmetic item because you look better when you're not bent over in pain.
Oh, yes, definitely. Definitely.
I have to try some of that.
Yeah. Well, we sure appreciate you
Well, thank you for having
coming
us.
on.
I appreciate
Yes.
that.
Oh, well, thank you for
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah.
Yes, and bringing your products in. Oh, this is wonderful.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
I'm thinking
We enjoyed
seriously
it.
that
Yeah.
the cream too.
Good. You're not ready to come back and boost up your store again?
Yeah, if you
Oh,
have anything
absolutely.
new comes in or anything, just
Let people
give
know
one
that
of
you're
us a
still
call.
here.
Anything exciting, we're always ready for
We're
it.
looking at expanding our product base, and we're doing different things and experimenting, and looking forward to that.
Great.
We,
So welcome to St. Genevieve after 3 years. We finally, well, I heard there was something to do with honey in Lance's building,
Yeah,
and nobody seemed to know too much about it.
yeah. Well, that was a distribution center.
Right, and
It's really
then-
not a retail outlet there.
Right, and then somebody said, well, they make a cream, and they distribute it all over, but it, excuse me, they didn't say what type.
Right.
So I was really glad when you opened up. I thought, that's going to be cool. Now we're going to find out everything. they
Well, I have to
make.
give her
Yeah.
credit, that was a very wise decision on her part.
Yes, it
She
was.
promoted that, and she did a great job with it, and I'm very pleased that that's the way it went, so.
so
And
now
that's
is,
wonderful, so.
The store as it is for now has been open for how long?
We opened August 10th,
Okay.
so
So you
about
have
a little over
a
4.
summer coming, a spring and
Yeah.
summer and all our
Yes.
vets and everything.
Yeah, we opened Jour de Fête weekend, so that was, trial by fire. But it went really
That
well.
was a learning experience, yeah. But we loved
It
it. Massive crowds and
We
Yeah,
have,
there were there's
Yeah.
always massive crowds on
really
there.
pressure on the
And
inventory.
Christmas walk, there was always a lot.
is
Yeah.
every-
Chocolate walk, they sell
Everything.
300 tickets usually
Yeah.
in.
Well, I think we counted, for the Cookie Crumb Trail, we had over 500 people in our store that day.
Did you really? That's great.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's it's amazing, just far surpassed what
You
we had
thought.
expected,
Yeah.
yeah.
Great, very great.
Well, we're so glad you're here.
And wonderful people walk in. We're just thrilled with the mixture of people that we meet and from all over. Just, you're always just amazed at who's walked in you're talking to and their life experiences, and it's good mix. We love it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so next show we have, which will be the 22nd, is that correct?
22nd, yes.
January 22nd, we have Mickey and Ellie, and they'll be talking about the Queen's Ball this year since it's
Yeah.
leap year. And we also have, what's her name? It's Heavenly Hope.
Yes,
It's,
I can't.
I left my book at home, so I do not know what she's going to talk about, but it's going to be interesting. I
Sounds-
think
it
it's
sounds
like
angelic. It sounds angelic.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. They do
It's
work,
called Heavenly Hope.
and they help people that are needing things.
Yes, needy,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
Help the needy.
Betty
but-
Giesler.
Betty Giesler. And they have, I saw in the paper, I think it was, where they had an advertisement where they just help the people that need help. Sort of like St. Vincent de Paul does and other charities around.
They do a lot of good work.
Yeah, they do a
What
lot
type
of
of
work.
item do they
Good
collect?
work.
Yeah.
They collect clothing, or what type of item?
I don't think it was
I don't
clothing,
know.
I think it was more food-wise
I'm not
and,
too sure what she
but I'm
said.
not really sure. You
You
have to
learn.
listen to what's
We'll have to
new next
watch.
time to
That's the
find
purpose
out.
of the program, yes.
Tune in on the 22nd.
Well,
And if I would have brought my book, I could probably tell you more,
I'll be
but
an expert on the
it's
23rd.
laying at home, yeah. Yeah, if you're in St. John and you have access to cable, you can watch it live on the 22nd. Then at 1 o'clock in the morning, it'll be repeated on Channel 991.
You can watch
And
yourself.
then YouTube picks it up, I think it's in the next day sometime,
Next
Thursday
day, yes.
sometime.
Then they've got a whole
Yeah.
list of them that they've got, shows that we've done, they've got a whole list of them on
Very
there
good.
too.
Glad to hear it.
There's some of the ones that I thought were not more interesting than others, but we've had a lady come and talk about Alzheimer's, which people don't really know about that disease.
That's right.
So that was very informative, and there was another, MS. People
Those are
don't
devastating.
know about all the symptoms and all the hardships that those people, and so that was a very, very interesting. We actually had 2 people that had MS that were here and
Yes.
talking about how they felt and how it started, and it's very interesting. And you can go back into the files of what's new. We have our own heading up there now, and go way back in there. I think it was in, what, 16 or 17? 16 probably.
16.
Probably in 1916 when the MS were on. But you can go back and watch all those programs, yeah. Yeah, very, very interesting. So just tell
1916.
everybody that did I say 19? No, I said 16. I didn't say
1916. You said 1916, that's what caught my ear.
2016. Whatever.
Because I thought she was, I thought, okay, and that's
I was
it for
born
a
in the
while.
last century too, so I understand.
So we understand, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody is 2016, not 1916. That would have been before I was ever even thought of.
Yeah.
Probably as most people think, I was born in the 18s.
Sometimes you just go back too many centuries.
I just,
So anyway, thanks again for coming.
Thank you so much.
And I'm sure glad we finally made contact. We've been trying since last August, and we finally did it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you have really an interesting shop,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
yeah.
Very interesting, thank you.
So we'll be back on the 22nd of January at 7 p.m.
Good enough.
on Channel 991.
Thank you.
So
Thank you all for coming.
thanks everyone for watching. Good night, Charlie.